And welcome inside the Huddle. Kenny Rhoda flying solo here with you on this Saturday morning as we recap week number 6 of high school football in Stark County. And what a week it was. A lot of teams getting into conference play, league play for the first time. And so we will dive into all of those scores, all of the box scores, and share with you the games that we did last night. And that would be on the various platforms of WHBC. And so bear with us as we fly through this 60-minute version of the Saturday Morning Huddle. And we want to start things off right away, right out of the gate with the big Federal League game that happened last night between Lake and Jackson, the Blue Streaks, welcoming the Polar Bears, who were putting up all kind of offensive numbers. And it was Lake coming away with the 19-7 victory. And joining us right now is the outstanding head coach for the Lake Blue Streaks, Dan DeGeorge. Dan, thanks for getting up with us on the Saturday Morning Huddle. Congratulations on the win last night. What was the key to a dominating defensive performance last night for you?
Yeah, good morning, Kenny. I appreciate you having me on, and thanks for what you do. Defensively, we played a heck of a game last night. Our kids were very, very well prepared. My defensive staff is excellent, led by my defense coordinator, Ron Viscount, and then J.R. Supis, and Joe Anderson and Matt Christopher. They just had the kids ready to go, and we got some pretty special players. Our linebackers played excellent. Evan Brady, Charlie Christopher, Joey Garrow, Kelton Dutton up front, Ryan Lippy, Dane Jarvis played very well. Caden Yoder played excellent for us last night. So guys were just flying around making tackles. So really pleased with their efforts.
19-7, Dan, and you had some other opportunities to add points to that. You missed some field goals in that. So a very dominating performance. I want to start on that defensive side. I saw 8 sacks. I saw 10 sacks. I saw 11 sacks. What was the final total of sacks for your defense yesterday?
Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you. I want to say it's between 8 and 10. I haven't looked through that. I usually look through that closer on Saturday night. Not a big stat guy. Don't really look at them too much. We're trying to win football games. Sometimes it's ugly, and it was last night at times. We missed a lot of field goals, like you said. We had a couple key turnovers. Should have won the game 30-0. And as our season progresses, and just talked to the boys about that this morning, we can't keep giving away some of those opportunities. So we still have a lot to clean up in special teams and offense. But defense is our strength. Everyone knows that. We knew that from the get-go, and there's nothing wrong with that. We'll win games however we have to, and if that means relying on our defense to do so, we're going to do that.
Yeah, obviously, Jackson came in throwing the football all over the field. However many sacks you got, the pressure, okay? We won't count the stats. Just the constant pressure last night. Christopher, Garrow, Lippy, and those guys putting it on him. What did you see on film where you thought you guys could really get after the quarterback last night?
Yeah, we were really impressed with what they're doing. Jackson's got a very good coaching staff as well. Their quarterback, who's a sophomore, wasn't playing like a sophomore. He's been playing really good. He's a threat to throw the ball, but then also pull it down and run. So, again, I mentioned my defensive staff, and they came up with a great game plan. We knew we had to get to him. We couldn't give him a lot of time to sit in the pocket and throw on some of their deep routes. So some of our blitzes and stunts we came up with really hit home. And then we did a great job in coverage on the back end as well, created a couple turnovers. And the big thing, we tackled fairly well. So when they did get the ball out for completions, we tackled them so they didn't get first downs, just tried to make them snap it over and over. And the credit to our kids, man, they bought into our game plan. They had a great week of practice, and they executed it last night.
5 wins in a row now. You're 5-1 overall, 2-0 in conference play, league play, which is important. We did your first game right against Alliance, and you guys, in my opinion, this is me, not taking anything away from Alliance. We're going to have Coach Goodman on later, but you guys kind of gave that game away. I felt, you guys were the better team that night, but the better team doesn't always win when you make mistakes. But what's been the difference from game one to where you are now, rattling off 5 wins in a row?
Yeah, you're exactly right about week one, and Coach Goodman does a great job, and Alliance is a very good football team, but we gave that game away. We had so many mistakes in all 3 phases, and sort of slapped us the kids in the face a little bit. We had tried throughout the summer to remind them they're not quite as good as they think, and you can't just rest on last year's success. And I think that sort of woke them up. Not sort of. It absolutely did wake them up, rightfully so. And defensively, particularly, we played very well all season. Offensively, we're slowly coming along. We've been hit with a lot of injuries like everyone else. So we're playing some guys that didn't have a lot of experience. Some of our guys are battling through injuries, playing at 80%, 75%. So we're getting there. But we just tried to concentrate on ourselves week to week. How can we get better? Just giving great effort on every single play. And if you can do that, obviously you have a chance to succeed.
Two big differences that stand out to me from when we did you, Coach. Number one, you've settled on a feature running back in Nate Baker, 26 carries, a buck 48, and a touchdown last night. What does he bring to your offense?
Nate's a special player. Nate's the only kid that's playing both ways a significant amount. Plays corner for us as well. Was a 2-year starter for us at wide receiver. With some of our early injuries, we decided to move Nate to tailback, and he was all for that. He's special with the ball in his hands, and he's getting better every week. He's learning how to set up his blocks, making some shallow cuts, and he's got the ability to take distance on any given play. Our other guys, Charlie Christopher, Joey Garrow, are both closer to being 100% than they've been all year. So they're going to start to get some carries as well, which will make us even better. So we're really excited about that opportunity. But Nate's done a great job, and he's playing a lot of football for us. So I'll give him a lot of credit.
And the other thing that stands out, the game we did, Cale Jarvis handled most of the snaps at quarterback in week one. You've gone to what worked for you last year, the 2-quarterback system with Noah Kabaski and Cale Jarvis. Why does that work for you, Coach, when a lot of coaches want to stay away from 2 quarterbacks?
Yeah, sure. Give Cale credit, man. Cale's been a 2-year starter for us. Cale was battling some early injuries early on in the season with his back. Was just playing through it. He's a tough kid. He really is. Noah has gotten better as well. So Cale's really good at some things that he does, and so is Noah. We're just taking the approach like we do with every other position that, both guys deserve to play, so they're going to play. Both do some good things. Both bring a lot of things to the table. A little bit unconventional, and I know a lot of people didn't like it last year, and a lot of people don't like it this year. But we're trying to win football games at the end of the day. My staff and I, who have a great staff, we're trying to put our kids in position to win. That's the ultimate goal. So we're going to do whatever it takes to get that done.
And it's working for you. Happy to have Dan DeGeorge with us in his 11th year as the head coach at Lake. Coach, big game next week. We've got it. It's our Altman Hospital radio game of the week. We had to be there. It's Lake. It's McKinley. Both teams undefeated in league play. How big of a game is this for you guys?
It's a huge game, and every week in the Federal League is. I told the kids this morning, man, I think any Federal League game the rest of the way out, any team can beat each other. The league's good, and that's probably going to happen. So we're going to continue to take the same approach, try to go 1-0 this week, try to get better. But we know it's a tall task. They're obviously very big, strong, fast, athletic, very well coached. Coach Hall does a great job. So we got to have a great week of practice. We got to get healthy. We got to score more points offensively and continue to play good defense to even have a chance.
As a coach, I'm curious. It is a big game, and I appreciate you saying, yeah, it's a big game. It's for first place right now, even though it's only week 7 of the season. But you also want to temper that a little bit. How do you handle that, Coach, with your kids?
Yeah, I mean, I told the kids this morning in our meeting, like, listen, we're 5-1. No doubt in my mind we have the ability to go 9-1, but we could also go 5-5 because we play in the best league in the state of Ohio, in my opinion. Every coaching staff is good. Every team is good. So we can't get too cocky. We can't look at our stats. We can't look at our highlights too much. We have to understand that we have to continue to get better each week, every single phase. Even our defense, as good as they were, we're going to challenge them to be even better because they have to in our league. So, handling success, is a fine line, right? You don't want to think you're too good because we're not in a lot of areas. We have a long way to go, but you also want to enjoy your success and celebrate your kids. And then told them this morning I love them and I love their effort last night. But we're going to get on them this week and find ways to be a better football team next Friday night.
As a coach, are you able to enjoy victories in season, or does that come at the end of the year after you count everything up?
There's a little window after the game on Friday nights. Usually the staff comes over to my house and we eat some food and we watch the film. We put it up on the big screen and we watch it and we we celebrate the kids' good plays, and we talk about the things that we have to improve on. And we meet Saturday morning at 7:30, and we get right back after it. So it's a quick turnaround. We watch the film with the kids, obviously Saturday morning, and we tell them when they do a great job, and we also get after them on plays where they don't do a good job. That's what we're trying to do. So, there's not a lot of time to enjoy the wins, but I'd rather wake up on a Saturday morning after a win than after a loss any day of the week.
Coach, we always appreciate the time you make for us on the Kenny and JT show as well as the Huddle. Congratulations on yesterday's win, and we'll see you Friday night, and good luck against McKinley.
Appreciate you having me, and thanks for all you guys do, man. Take care.
Dan DeGeorge checking in with us here on the Saturday morning Huddle. We appreciate him getting up. Well, he's already, I was going to say getting up early. Coaches they're up at like 5, 6, 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. They're doing their film work and everything along those lines. So we appreciate him making time, though, in his busy schedule to join us. All right, we go from one Federal League head coach to another Federal League head coach, and welcome in the outstanding head football coach for the Perry Panthers, and that is Zach Slates. And the Panthers victorious last night over Louisville, 49-6. Good morning, Coach. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm not as good as you. 49 points and a 43-point victory. You got to feel pretty good waking up on a Saturday morning knowing that score.
Yeah, I mean, that's good, but it's over with. We got to move on and get better this week.
Come on, Coach. You can enjoy it for at least 12 to 18 hours, can't you?
It's been 12 hours. We're in the 13th hour now.
Coach, what was the key last night? You take on Louisville, you go on the road, you're under 500, so this was a game to get you back to 500, and you went in there and dominated. What was the key?
Yeah, I mean, our kids started practicing better this week. Thursday was a real good practice, so I was on them hard this week, and we changed some things around and moved guys in different positions, and doing that in mid-season is tough on the kids, tough on us, because we got to get them ready and get them going, learning new things and so forth. So the kids bought in, and they accepted the challenge and stepped up last night and did it, and made some big plays and never looked back.
All right, we're going to get to Christian Ivanic because he was our WHBC Player of the Week this week. Okay, we'll get to him in a second. But did I see correct? I'm looking at my stat sheet right here.
Yes, triple digits.
Yes, Austin Maddox to Kyson Walker, 91-yard touchdown pass, triple digits in throwing the football at Perry. Is that accurate?
It's twice now. It's twice now this year. Yeah, we got to be able to throw the ball some. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that play, is that something you saw on film where you guys said, all right, we think we can hit them with this, and it goes for 91 yards?
Yeah, I mean, the safety was coming down. They're playing cover 4, and the safety was coming down on our little out route, and the other safety was tough to get over top to cover that the post. So he got inside the corner and was off to the race.
All right, let's get to the player of the game and player of the week. Christian Ivanic, 16 carries, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, runs of 59 and 62 yards for scores. This week, he was the feature guy. What was it about, Christian, you guys went to him in this game over Louisville?
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to find a fullback right now. And I think Christian is going to be able to do it. He was one of those guys who moved around. Offensively, we moved him from tailback to fullback, and he's taken on the role of being able to play both ways, and he's really embraced that. And we got another guy helping out on defense, so we're rotating some guys on defense and getting a break there. But he's got to tote the rock for us, and stepped up, no assignment mistakes, did a great job.
The wing T offense, Coach, how hard is it on the offensive linemen to learn that offense and be precise with their blocks, some pulling, the crisscross trap, and all the different variations of that? How tough is that to learn, and does it take a few games maybe for inexperienced or underclassmen that are stepping into a different role to really become efficient in it?
Yeah, I mean, we only have really one guy back playing the position he played last year on the O-line. So, I mean, we got 6 other guys playing, 5 other guys playing the O-line in a new role or as a sophomore. So, yeah, I mean, it was just getting them settled in. And last night it was good to see because they went to a little bit different defense than what they've shown. And our kids handled it really well and didn't bat an eye and knew what to do and knew their assignments. So it was good for them to see. It's good for us to see them make some adjustments on the field, take what we're telling them on the sideline and put it into action on the field.
Happy to have Coach Slates with us on the Saturday morning huddle, and his team gets his third win of the year. They're back to 500 at 3-3 as they pound Louisville 49-6. Coach, I saw a special teams touchdown. Was that on the opening kickoff?
Yeah, we kicked off. Our kicker's really good, and he kicks most of them in the end zone. And he kicks the ball so high that we can get down there pretty good when he doesn't kick it in the end zone. So he kicked it to about the 3-yard line, and it was a high one. And he bobbled the snap. The returner did for a second, picked it up, took off, and we were down there already. So first guy hit him. The second guy came in, knocked the ball out, and recovered it in the end zone.
Is that the first time, either as a player or as a coach, that you've had a score on the opening kickoff when you weren't returning the kickoff?
Yeah, that's the first. Yes, that's a first.
I have never seen it in all the years that I've covered high school, college, professional football. I was reading that in a paper this morning, and I was like, wait a second. They scored on special teams, but it was on a fumble recovery on the opening kickoff. So that may be a historic moment in Stark County football, Coach.
Yeah, 5 overtimes than that. So
yeah, you've been from one end of the spectrum to the other, no question about it. How are you feeling about where your team is at after 6 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it's been being so young. It's sort of a juggling match, trying to figure out where kids fit in and where we got to play them. And we had some injuries early on, and we've been trying to adjust since the first scrimmage. So I think our kids are settling in. The O-line's settling in some, and we're getting some guys back. So that's good too.
All right. So how do you take this momentum in a non-conference game into league play, searching for your first win in the Fed?
Yeah, I mean, like I told the kids, it's a whole different ballgame in the Federal League, and we got to understand that it's going to get more physical and it's going to get more tough as we go, because every team in the Federal League, anybody can beat anybody. So I just told them just keep playing one week at a time, keep getting better. Last week we wrote down on a card what they needed to improve on. Each player wrote down 3 things they need to improve, and I asked the kids last night if they improved that week, how they feel they did with the cards. So it's going to just be keep on improving, keep getting better, and keep working hard. I'm going to stay on them like I have been and continue to coach the way I coach. And my staff has done a good job this week. Yeah, they were on the kids hard, and the kids responded to it. And that's a good thing to see, the kids not going belly down when you're 2-3 and when you're getting on them hard and you're coaching hard on them, and them responding and doing what they did last night. It was good to see.
Coach, who do you have coming up here in week 7?
Hoover.
We did their game last night. I don't know if you've seen any film of them yet or not, or you started preparing for them. But they took a loss last night, but battled McKinley tough last night. What are just your early thoughts on a lot of good skill position players there at Hoover? Yeah,
I mean, obviously their quarterback's a great player. He's been a great player the past 3 years. So they throw the ball well. They got a good running back. We got to do the same thing. And for us, we see a lot of the passing stuff every week. So we got to make sure we're containing that, continue to stop the run. I mean, we've only given up between 60 and 80 yards the past 3 weeks running the ball. And we got to stop the pass, stop the big plays.
There's an Ashby kid who's pretty fast for them. You might want to, keep an eye on him next week.
Yeah. Yep.
He gets after it. He had a big game last night in a loss for Hoover. We were there a couple of weeks ago, and right now, and I'll give it away, the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge rankings, the 37-37 kitchen from Perry High School, number one, as we enter week number 7 of the high school football season. Coach, when you told me there was going to be a spread for us and that you guys were going to take care of us, I thought, okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll see. I was blown away. So was everybody, Coach. How often do you get to eat over there at the 3737 kitchen?
Yeah, they do a great job. They're open on Wednesdays and Thursdays to the public and everything. And once they get going, so right now they're not open yet because just getting the new kids in for the culinary program. So they're just getting their menu together and all that stuff and testing things out. But they do a great job. Food's excellent. Fish tacos are phenomenal.
That's your favorite? You like the fish tacos?
Oh yeah. I told him you better have some this year.
Okay, I was partial to the buffalo wings as well as the brisket that Chef prepared for us, and then to top it off, was it your mom who made the canned peppers?
Yeah, my dad and mom and sister make the canned peppers every year. They did about 160 quarts.
Coach,
yep, they do it every year. So.
Rick Worstell, who does the Alt Care pregame show with me every week, he's very picky on what he eats. He rarely eats at a game. Number one, he ate at the Perry game from 3737 Kitchen in the spread that you guys put out for us. And then he took the gift bag, and thank you from the entire WHBC staff. He took the gift bag home. For 2 consecutive weeks now, he has commented on how good those peppers were. He wants to buy some. I need to get in touch with you. I want you to make some money off this. I want your mom and dad to make some money off this. Rick Worstell wants to buy some of those canned peppers.
Yeah, they're excellent. They're great.
They should be on shelves in grocery stores. That's how good
I've been
they
eating
are.
them since I was a little kid. It's a hidden gem. My coaches love them when they come in. So,
are you kidding me? You know what? You should give like a job. I don't know if you have an offensive, defensive, special teams player of the week. Each one of your players of the week should get a can of those peppers. That's the way I would go, Coach. I'm serious. That's how good those babies were. So, and you can put your little logo, put the Perry P on there and everything like that, or the PTO. I think you can sell. Let's get together. I think you can sell these things in stores. That's how good they are, Coach. All right, I'll reach out to you. We'll work on this. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, Zach, thanks so much for getting up with us this morning. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on the big win for you guys last night. Hopefully this gets you rolling as you head into the last 4 weeks of the regular season.
Yep. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys, all you guys do.
All right, there he is, Zach Slates, head coach of the Perry Panthers, and his parents make great peppers, outstanding peppers. I think he should take the recipe and give that to Chef at 3737 Kitchen, and they start making those babies there or sell them on the shelves. I'm serious, man. We can make some cash off that, Coach. All right, let's take a look at the scores from last night and see what happened in and around Stark County. And coming up here at the bottom of the hour, we're going to have Tim Goodman, the head coach from Alliance, join us as they got a big win last night. In fact, they beat Salem. We'll start right there. 48-14. You'll see some of the scores on the bottom of the screen scrolling across the bottom. And let's take a look at all the scores. McKinley beat Hoover 37-28. That was our WHBC Altman Hospital radio game of the week. I'll give you some more details on that coming up in a little bit. We had Coach Dan DeGeorge on from the Lake Blue Streaks. They were victorious yesterday, 19-7 over Jackson. Glen Oak led throughout most of the game as they played at Green yesterday. It looked like they might pull off 2 big back-to-back Federal League wins in a row, but unfortunately for the Golden Eagles, Green comes back and beats Glen Oak 31-28. We just talked to Coach Slates and Perry getting that big road win, 49-6 at Louisville. Massillon 41, Middletown 7, and Massillon goes to 6-0. They're number 1 in Ken's top 10 teams in Stark County. But the bigger story yesterday, and we talked about it on the Alt Care Stadium show, was the fact that the OHSAA is reviewing the transfer application for Massillon quarterback DeJuan Owens, and he did not play in that game last night for Massillon. Didn't matter. They still roll 41-7, but we got a tip early in the day yesterday that he would not play last night and that the OHSAA was looking into it. I reached out to the OHSAA. They said, yes, they are looking over the transfer application. And I guess the debate here is, all right, that's been there for a while. Why has it taken this long to look it over? Or are they not following the rules of the application that was the transfer application that was put in? So we'll see where this comes out in the next week or so. But even without DeJuan Owens last night, Massillon 41-7. This may be Nate Moore's best Massillon team. Everything they've been through off the field before the season, during the season, and all that, they just continue to roll offensively, defensively, special teams. Very, very good football team. 41-7. Massillon gets the win over Middletown. Carrollton 41, Marlington 35. Ouch. Marlington, the Dukes lose in overtime in that game. West Branch annihilates Minerva 70-0. I think that's 24 consecutive losses now for Minerva. Canton South rolls undefeated 6-0. Poochie, Snyder, and the boys get it done, taking care of Manchester 35-14. That was a close game for about 3 quarters, and then Canton South started to pull away in that one. Northwest, John DeMarco and the Indians 0-2 to 4-2. Northwest gets a win over Tuslaw yesterday, 28-12, the final in that one. Fairless drops to 2-4 on the year. Coach Sarbaugh and the boys have some work to do to get back to 500 or to try and get a 4th consecutive winning season. Orville beats Fairless yesterday, 38-28. Mentor Lake Catholic took care of Canton Central Catholic. The Crusaders on the road yesterday at Mentor. Lake Catholic beats them 37-20. Central falls now to 3-3 on the year. Indian, this may have been the biggest surprise game yesterday in week 6 in Stark County. Indian Valley beats Sandy Valley. Let's see here. 40-6 was the final score. We saw this in the press box, and we were all blown away by it. That Indian Valley, not that Indian Valley might win the game, but by the score with which they won the game, 40-6. So the Cardinals with an off night, Indian Valley rolls, and that was at Sandy Valley too. So big surprising loss yesterday there, but at least by the final score of it. Newcomerstown beat East Canton yesterday, 46-7. It was Rootstown beating St. Thomas 37-6. And Malvern bounces back after getting beat last week, 49-6 over Strasburg. So those are the games from week number 6 in Stark County. And we're going to scroll them on the bottom of the screen here so you can, if you didn't catch all the ones we just listed for you there, we'll run the scroll across the bottom so you can see how your team did last night. But the big things that I take away from last night, we're going to dive into more details with individual player stats and that coming up a little later on here on the Saturday morning huddle. But the biggest story was the Massillon story with DeJuan Owens, because last week against St. Ed's, he was the reason they beat St. Ed's. For the first, 4 games, they were rotating quarterbacks with Jalen Slaughter and DeJuan Owens. Last week, they declared basically by playing him all but one series that DeJuan Owens was their quarterback and that Jalen Slaughter was the backup until this week when Owens did not play because of the OHSAA reviewing the transfer application. So they sat him out, and Jalen Slaughter just goes in there and picked up where he kind of left off last year. Don't forget, Jalen Slaughter beat St. Ed's last year. It's not a bad guy to fall back on if you're Nate Moore. So that was the biggest story of the week for me, along with that Sandy Valley loss to Indian Valley, 40-6. All right, let's bring in our next coach joining us here on the Saturday morning huddle, and that would be Tim Goodman from the Alliance Aviators. We pull him up, bring him in. Good morning, Coach. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Kenny. Good. How are you?
Hey, I'm outstanding. Thanks for getting up with us this morning. Congratulations on the win last night, Coach. How important was it for your team to bounce back from that tough, high-scoring loss to Central last week and really dominate the game last night?
Yeah, very important for us. We started our league play last night, which is kind of unusual compared to a lot of other schools in our region. We don't start league play till week 6. So we want to start off on the right foot in our league play. And we kind of talked about how, starting last night, we had a 5-week season, and we want to start 1-0 in that 5-week season.
48-14, you beat Salem. It was 48-0 at the half. And I was just talking with Zach Slates on the opening kickoff. They get a touchdown on a fumble recovery. Well, you didn't score on the opening kickoff, but it only took you one play to score yesterday and take a 7-0 lead. Share with our listeners that first big play and how you were playing from in front for the rest of the night.
Yeah, we usually like to start the game off with some type of inside run. Just get our guys settled in, get used to seeing the front and the speed of the game. And we call it a quarterback design run where Brendan keeps the ball, and our offensive line gave him a big hole. And when you get Brendan a hole like that, then it can be scary out in space. We got a couple good wide receiver blocks, which has been a focus for us the past couple of weeks. And then, kind of like Brendan said in the paper yesterday, he turned that track speed on and he went 91 yards and gave us that 7-0 lead.
We saw that track speed in week 1 at Lake when he went 80 yards for a touchdown. And it looked like the guys were, had the angle on him or we're going to grab him. And he just pulls away, Coach. How nice is that to have a kid that can throw it, Power 5 quarterback, but also maybe the fastest guy or in top 3 as far as fastest guys on your team as your quarterback?
Yeah, we're spoiled. I mean, he's able to do things that most high school kids can't, and we've kind of morphed our offense a little bit as the season's gone on, and kind of featured him. And why wouldn't you with a kid going to Oklahoma? Let's keep the ball in his hands as much as possible. And it's all about the Jimmies and Joes, and he makes us look good a lot more than he doesn't.
Yeah, great job by him last night on that first play. You're up 7-0 at that point. As we said, 48-0 at the half, so a running clock in the second half. But what else worked for you guys yesterday offensively, Coach?
Offensively, just we kind of found our identity these past few weeks. Like I said, kind of spreading things out and letting Brendan run the show, whether he's running the ball or throwing it. We have a lot of dynamic playmakers on the outside. So we're really making teams pick their poison right now. Do they want to load up the box and try and stop Brendan running the ball? Or do they want to, stay out wide and cover our skilled athletes? And whichever one you're going to do, we're going to do the opposite of, and trying to make the game easy for our guys. And like I said, when we get our guys the ball in space, they tend to make us look good.
Coach, you're now 4-2 overall, 1-0 in the EBC, as you pointed out. Good to start the season off with a win in conference play. But 4-2, a tough loss, as we said, to Central. A lot of points given up. You lost earlier, which surprised us in the season. When it's not working, what's been the problem for you guys? And do you feel like you're on the road to fixing those problems?
Yeah, I think we've learned a little bit about ourselves in every loss we've had. And that's, you always learn way more from a loss than you do a win. And there's been growing pains this year, but I think those growing pains are going to pay off as we move forward. The big thing, like our guys just approaching each game with the right mindset. I think after we beat a very good Lake team week 1 and a very good Niles team week 2, we kind of started getting a little overconfident. But we played a really good out-of-league schedule. I mean, Streetsboro's 5-1 right now. Central's a really good football team. They lost to a really good Lake Catholic team last night. They're going to win a lot of ball games. So I think we're battle-tested going into the second half of our season.
Defensively, what did you guys do better last night? Because you give up 48 the previous week, so I'm guessing that was a focal point during the week of practice, and you hold Salem to 14.
Yeah, I mean, just playing downhill, playing fast, playing physical, getting off blocks. We didn't do a great job setting an edge against Central Catholic. And then, just getting guys on the ground. I mean, we put an emphasis on making sure we wrap everything up in practice, no more tapping off. And our guys just, again, they approached the game a little bit differently this week than I think they did last week.
Let's spread some love around on your offense because, yes, Brendan accounted for 325 total yards and 5 touchdowns, but you've got so many different weapons. How do you like the way your running game is coming along outside of Brendan running the football, and your receivers are as good of a bunch as there might be in Stark County?
Yeah, well, as a line guy, I'm always going to give credit to the line first. We have a really good offensive line that makes these guys look good, that don't get a lot of credit. We've even had some injuries up front. We've had some sophomores step up and fill in some key roles. So our offensive line's doing a really good job of holes for Brendan when he runs the ball and keeping him clean when we're throwing the ball. And then, like those guys on the perimeter, Kayvon Davis has big game after big game. A lot of teams have been focusing their attention on Ramir Hawkins, rightfully so, because he had a monster season last year. But once they start shifting to Kayvon, then we go back to Ramir, and he had a big touchdown for us last night. You got some sneaky guys like J.R. Jackson who can do some things. And then Jaden Proctor had a couple touchdowns last week. So, So, we really like our skill guys on the perimeter. And then we're getting our sophomore Ravon Hawkins running back to come along. He's still kind of figuring out the speed of the game and his holes and everything. And it's just, getting used to it. It's tough playing varsity football as a sophomore, but he ripped a big run up the middle last night, really hit the Jets. And we were on the headset and said, oh, there it is. There it is. So we really like how we're coming into our own here in the second half of the season offensively.
All right. Who's up next on the schedule, Coach?
Carrollton's coming to town.
All right. So what do you know about them? I know it's only Saturday morning, but I know coaches, they're always preparing ahead. So I'm sure you have a little bit of info on them at least.
Coming from the EBC, from a federal league school, I always say that Carrollton is the Perry of the EBC. And they're going to line up in two tights, full house backfield, no bones about it. They're going to run the ball right at you, and they're going to find out if you're tough enough to play them or not. And Coach Salamos, he's been coaching football for forever. He won a state title a long time ago, but he really knows what he's doing. He's got those kids playing hard. They play physical. They play 4 quarters of football. So we got our work cut out for us. We're going to have to play well defensively to pull this one out.
Is that tough to simulate in practice with your kids to get a real feel for it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's tough because, they just execute a step faster. And they got fresh bodies and they're varsity football players, and you're trying to simulate it with JV football players. So, when you play teams like that, it takes a series or two to settle in. But, our guys kind of know what to expect. We've been going against their offense for about 3 or 4 years now since Coach Slamos has been there. So they know what to expect. It's just going to come out to, who wants it more at the line of scrimmage.
You're 4-2 through the first 6 weeks, 1-0 in conference play. Are you happy with where your team is at this point?
Yeah. I mean, obviously we gave away some games that we thought we should have won, but hopefully, like I said, I think we learned a lot about ourselves in those games. And, we can dwell on those 2 losses, or we can continue to improve. And, everything we have is still right there in front of us. And we can look back and say, man, we're glad we lost those games to Streetsboro Central Catholic, because they humbled us and they told us exactly what we need to know about ourselves for the big games down the stretch.
Where is it, though, that you hope to still get better? Every coach is seeking that perfect game, right? And you want that perfect game to be the last game of the season, which means a state championship. And I know you guys with, Zerbrug at quarterback have high expectations this year. So fill me in on what you're thinking about that.
Yeah, offensively, I think just eliminate the little mistakes. Versus Central Catholic, we had an 80-yard touchdown run called back on a hold. Last night we didn't convert on a 4th down because we had a receiver drop a ball. So just those little things to take us to that next level. We have a good offense. People know about it, but, there's still plenty that we can get better on to be, perfect. And we're always chasing perfection, but and then defensively, same thing, just being assignment sound, just getting off blocks, setting an edge on the perimeter. That seems to be our Achilles heel these past couple of weeks. And I thought we improved on that last night, but, we tell our kids out, hey, the book's out in the Lions defense. We know exactly what we're going to get. Can we get better and step up and make the plays when they're there?
I want to go back to Brendan and his, decision to make a decision, right? How has that helped him not worrying or having to announce where, he's going to go at the end of the season, during the season, the fact that he made it before the season started, and it's been a unique path, right? It started at Syracuse Northwestern. Now he ends up at Oklahoma. But how much has that helped him, you think?
I think it's helped him a little bit. I mean, he's really, I always say he's handled the process about as maturely as any high school kid I've ever had handle the process. It's tough for high school kids, all this, and the social media doesn't help, and you're chasing guys that you think you're good as or better than. And, it's a lot, but he's always been humble, and he's always, it's going to work out for me wherever I go. I'm going to get a great quarterback, but obviously it's a weight off your shoulders when you make that commitment. You're going to a great program like Oklahoma, and now you can just play free. But we've always, kind of use Brendan as an example that he's always been worried about being the best version of himself for Lions football, and everything else after that pays off. So we tell our guys, just be the best you can be for us, and all that recruiting stuff will take care of itself.
I'm curious, we hear about the stories involving the player and recruiting. What's it like for a coach when you have a big time player that's being recruited by Power 5 schools?
The springtime is crazy. I mean, it's always crazy busy, but I think last spring, I felt he wasn't in class very much because there were coaches coming through it every minute. I was still teaching that. I wasn't in class very much. We were running all over the place. I had to get a planner just to keep his stuff organized of, hey, this team, they're coming in here. They're coming in here. This team wants to see you throw, getting receivers ready for them. I remember one morning a coach popped up out of nowhere. We didn't have any receivers, so I was out there in khakis and a pullover running around catching the ball for him. And I teased him. I got him an offer that day. But yeah, I mean, it's busy and it's a good problem to have. That's what I always say. And it's great because then coaches come and check us out. And that's how other kids get noticed, because then they're watching film on Brendan. They go, oh, hey, Kayvon Davis, that big, tall receiver, he can make some plays. What's his story? And right. Then our younger kids benefit from that too. And I tell our kids all the time, college coaches know Alliance is a place to stop at. I mean, you go down our hallway on our wall of fame. We've produced a lot of talent here. And it's a place that coaches know to come through. And it's, like I said, it's a nice problem to have for us.
And how much maybe does it help you also because of what Mount Union has accomplished? Because Alliance is tied to Mount Union. Mount Union is tied to Alliance.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times when college coaches come through, they go, hey, is that Mount Union right next door? And I said, yeah, it is. We talk about their facilities because some of these, like, you get a Division II school or something like that, and they go, man, they got nicer facilities than we do.
Right.
So, yeah, it is pretty unique, that situation, how we're right there next to each other. And, I think we both prop each other up, and it's really cool that we get to play in their stadium, and they're gracious hosts to us, and it makes our community really neat.
Hey, Coach, thanks for this morning. Congratulations on the win last night. Good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks, Kenny. I just want to give you a shout out too. I was thinking about you last night. You did the WHBC game Friday night, and afterwards you're texting coaches getting this show ready. Then you get up in the morning and you do this show. You work your tail off, and we really appreciate you, Kenny.
Well, thanks. Billy Beebe's off today, but he's working as hard as I am. Hey, we love what we do, Coach. It's like you. It's a passion, right? It's a labor of love. It's what we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't love it and putting in the late hours and the early morning hours. I'm not quite up as early as the coaches, but 8 o'clock's early for me if you get my drift at my age. So thanks for the kind words and keep doing what you're doing there. It's working in Alliance, and we'll see you down the road. All right.
Thanks, Kenny. Appreciate it.
All right. Love that guy, man. He's doing a great job there at Alliance. The Aviator fans should be happy. And how can you not be happy when you have a Power 5 Division I quarterback like that, maybe taking you deep into the playoffs this year. So congratulations to Coach Goodman and the Aviators. All right, let's take a look at, I guess, a deeper dive into the games from last night, some of the stats, and we'll get Coach's name off the screen here. One-man show, Coach. You know what that's like. And we're going to tell you who did what and why teams won games last night around Stark County. All right, our game, the Altman Hospital radio game of the week, was McKinley and Hoover. McKinley 37, Hoover 28. That was the final score in that one. And it was a back-and-forth game as McKinley jumped out to a 7-0 lead. Hoover comes back, ties it, and then on a pooch kickoff, recover the kick, and then they take a 14-7 lead, and it just went back and forth all night, but it was McKinley pulling away. Stephon Thomas, 18 carries, 120, let's see, I want to get, make sure we give him the proper credit. 18 carries, 119 yards, and he gets a couple of touchdowns in the game. He was our Old Carolina Barbecue player of the game. Nino Hill, and this has been, unfortunately, a trend for head coach Antonio Hall, but they've been able to overcome it. Nino Hill did not start. We asked Coach Hall about it after the game. Said a couple of guys missed some meetings or were late to practice or late to meetings, whatever it was. Did not start, but he still impacted the game when he did come in. Nino Hill, 8 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Keaton Rohde had himself a game. After a tough week previously with 5 interceptions, Keaton Rohde, 13 of 20, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 10 carries, 55 yards, running the football, 5 of 6 on extra points, and he had a big field goal, 39-yard field goal late in the game to put that one away for McKinley as they win at 37-28. Mason Ashby, 10 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Kick return, 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So he had a nice game for the Vikings and Coach Baum. Carson Derlin, 21 of 32 for 211, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks in a loss. McKinley 5-1 and 3-0, more importantly, in the Federal League. Hoover falls to 3-3, 0-2 in the Federal League. We go to the Jackson Lake game, and we had Coach DeGeorge on talking about this. Lake gets the win 19-7. Lake now 5-1, 2-0 overall. Jackson falls to 4-2, 2-1 in the Federal League. So Lake and McKinley undefeated in Federal League play. Nate Baker, the touchdown maker, 26 carries, 148 yards, and a touchdown. Lake's defense, coach didn't know. Somewhere between 8 and 10 sacks in the game yesterday. They had 2 interceptions. They held Jackson to -3 yards rushing in that win. Got to give a shout out, though, to Anthony Fuline with his 3rd pick 6 of the year for the Jackson Polar Bears. Lucas Eckerman, 116 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They did not, that being Jackson, they did not score an offensive touchdown. So Lake's defense, it's the real deal. And we've got the matchup of the 2 undefeated teams in the Federal League this coming Friday night on WHBC and Mix 94.1. It'll be Lake at McKinley, 7 o'clock kickoff Friday night. You won't want to miss that. We had Coach Slates on from Perry. They beat Louisville 49-6. Our WHBC Player of the Week, Christian Ivanek, he goes for 222 on 16 carries and 3 touchdowns. And Austin Maddox over 100 yards passing, second time this year, air slates, and he throws a 91-yard touchdown pass to Kyson Walker. Also, 2 interceptions on defense for Perry, so they're getting better on the defensive side of the ball. Some other games to tell you about from yesterday, go into more detail. Green comes back and beats Glen Oak 31-28, the final there. Let's see, Green rallies from a 21-3 deficit to get that victory. I guess the Golden Eagles had a field goal attempt blocked as time expired to try and send it to overtime. And so Green gets the win 31-28. Tyson Hunka in at quarterback as Green lost its starting quarterback to, I think it was a broken collarbone last week. Hunka comes in and throws for $115, rushes for 81 yards. Jamar Johnson led Glen Oak 31 carries, 228 yards, and 2 TDs. But Glen Oak comes up on the short end. Massillon, we talked about DeJuan Owens not playing yesterday as the OHSAA is looking into his transfer application. Didn't matter. Massillon wins 41-7 over Middletown out of Delaware. Jalen Slaughter, 15 of 29, 293 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception in the win for the Tigers. First play from scrimmage, just like for Alliance, Jalen Slaughter to Braylon Tolles, 53-yard touchdown pass. Jaquez Carter, 8 catches, $142 in the air, and a touchdown for the Tigers. Dorian Pringle might be the best all-around player in Stark County, might be the best player in Stark County and one of the best in Northeast Ohio. Dorian Pringle, 3 touchdown runs and 2 sacks on defense yesterday. We just talked with Tim Goodman, coach at Alliance. Brendan Zerbrug, 91-yard touchdown pass on the first play from scrimmage. He combines for 325 total yards, 5 touchdowns. Zerbrug, 6 of 8, throwing the football, 210 yards, 3 touchdowns. Let me get a swig. 5 carries, 115 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. So 5 total touchdowns. It was 48-0 at the half, Alliance, as they beat Salem 48-14. Carrollton knocks off Marlington 41-35 in overtime. That was a back-and-forth game. So Marlington falls to 4-2 on the season. West Branch, boy, they crushed Minerva yesterday. 70-0 was the final score. Minerva, according to the stats that I read online, 5 turnovers, supposedly all in the first quarter. 24th straight loss for Minerva. They're 0-6, 0-1 in the EBC. Canton South gets a win over Manchester, 35-14. Poochie Snyder, 95-yard touchdown pass in that, and I'm sure many other passes completed, yards, rushing, and everything. Big game for him. Didn't get stats from them this morning as I was trying to pick it up online or via text messages. All we know, they're 6-0 and undefeated in Pac-7 play as well. Northwest, how about the Indians? After starting 0-2, Northwest gets a 28-12 win over Tuslaw. They're now 4-2 overall, undefeated in conference play at 3-0. Connor Satterfield with a touchdown run, Parker Kraft a touchdown run, and Tyler Pappas, when we did their game against Louisville, he kind of came in, took over at quarterback, and Coach DeMarco rolling with that. Tyler Pappas with 2 TD passes, 1 to Chase Badger, who started the season as the quarterback for Northwest. So John DeMarco's got his team playing very, very well. Orville beats Fairless. Final score there was 38-28. And Fairless falls to 2-4 now, overall 1-2 in PAC play. And we'll round out the scores here, telling you that Central Catholic went on the road, lost to Mentor Lake Catholic 37-20. That snaps the 3-game winning streak for Central Catholic. Central falls now to 3-3 on the year. And this was the shocker yesterday. Indian Valley beat Sandy Valley. Not that they beat them. That's not the surprise. The way they beat them. 40-6, the final score. Indian Valley over Sandy Valley. Sandy Valley falls to 4-2 overall, but now 0-1 in the IVC South. According to the paper, I read the article, red zone problems for Sandy Valley. Gave up a special teams touchdown in that game. The only score they had was Nick Petro to Jason Morris, a 9-yard touchdown pass. Brought them to within 20-6 in the second quarter, but did not score the rest of the game. In fact, after that touchdown pass to make it 20-6, they gave up the kickoff for a touchdown right after that. And that was Katie Bar the door, and Indian Valley beats Sandy Valley 40-6. Newcomerstown takes care of East Canton 46-7. East Canton now 1-5 overall, 0-1 in the IVC North. St. Thomas falls to 0-6 on the year. They lose to Rootstown 37-6. That's 22 straight. The Knights have dropped. And Melbourne gets back on the winning track. Now 1-0 in conference play, 5-1 overall. They beat Strasburg 49-6. Jared Withrow, their quarterback, threw for 5 touchdowns in that game. So congratulations to Malvern and to all the teams that were victorious last night. All right, let's pull this up here. Got to do it. We'll put it up on the board right here. The WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge rankings. We've played 6 weeks of high school football. We've been to 7 different games, 6 different stadiums, okay? So here's the standings right now. 37-37 kitchen. We talked about it with Coach Slates over there. The kids do all the cooking. The food was fantabulous. And right now, Perry at the top of the leaderboard in the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge. Thank you to everybody over there and to Mr. and Mrs. Slates. We want more of those peppers. All right? That's how good. We got a gift bag to go with our feast that we had there at Perry. Fairless, we had them to open up the season on Thursday night. A spread that was fantastic, tough to beat, but Perry was able to do that. Number 3, Louisville. Massillon in at number 4. We've been there twice. Hoover 5 and Lake 6. That's the way it looks. Let's see if we get any food this week at the McKinley Lake game. I don't know who's in charge up there in the press box, but you don't want to be the one that's 7th and not provide anything for all the hardworking media members, not only at WHBC, but that cover high school football in Stark County. So didn't get anything last year when we did the games there at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. We'll see if we get any food this year or even drinks. We'll just take some drinks. We didn't even get that last year. So that's the way the standings are right now in the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Saturday Morning Huddle. And thank Automotive for jumping on board as our title sponsor moving forward. If you need any work done on your vehicle, you see it on the bottom of the screen where you can find them online, and the phone number 330-966-3923. Billy Beebe will be back with me next week. We'll do an extended version of the Saturday Morning Huddle. Thanks to all the coaches who got up early with us today. Tim Goodman from Alliance, we appreciate you joining us, Coach. Zach Slates was with us from Perry, as well as Dan DeGeorge. Their big win over Jackson last night is Lake rolling right now. So thanks to all the coaches throughout the year and especially on today's broadcast. Hey, have a great weekend. Enjoy your college football tonight, 7:30 on WHBC Radio. We've got Ohio State at Notre Dame. And then on Sunday, 1 o'clock, the Browns hosting Tennessee on WHBC as well. We'll talk to you next week on The Huddle.